God called Tony home on August the 30th. The date in your program is not incorrect. Even Donna, his hospice nurse, said on Wednesday that he had 24 more hours. But I'm sure Tony heard that and said, "Whoa, I gotta get going. Don't want to be late." I bet when St. Peter saw him, he said, "TP, what are you doing here? You've got another day." But Tony would have replied, "Didn't want to be late in case traffic was bad." Tony had the misfortune to marry someone who believes that as long as the party is still going on, when she gets there, she's never late. That created a little bit of friction in our marriage. We once went to a reunion of his Belmont High School class and arrived with the kitchen staff, but we weren't late. We finally started taking separate cars wherever we had to go. He would go to church at least 15 minutes early, and I would cruise in, joining the end of the processional. I don't know why God makes it that opposites attract. He must find that amusing. When Tony and I first met, he was married to Shirley. I'm sure she's here. And if she makes it, she's lost. The mother of his children. And I was engaged to the future father of my son. Sounds like a plot to a daytime soap opera, doesn't it? I knew Tony as the insurance salesman with an office just down from mine in the Jefferson Standard Building on Cloverdale Avenue. Now, I'm sure he had coats and suits, but it seems I remember him mostly in golf shirts and shorts, racing in the back door of our office. Tony was a great salesperson, probably doing his best business on the golf course. But he wasn't much of a follow-through person when it came to paperwork. He always seemed to be missing that one signature on one piece of paper. And one day he asked me if I could copy someone's signature on it. I will admit that I had perfected the art of forging signatures in another job when my boss would say, "Just sign my name to it and send it on." So I became Tony's signature gal. But one time, not only did he forget to get a signature on a form, he also forgot to get the urine sample. And he needed to turn everything in before the end of the day. He gave me the form to sign, and I waited for what I thought was an appropriate amount of time. And then I knocked on the bathroom door and I said, "Hey, Tony, how's it going in there?" All I could hear was cursing, and apparently how I had startled him so badly he dropped the bottle. But I got married and moved to Bristol, Tennessee, and Tony got divorced, and we didn't meet up again for another 8 or 9 years after I had gotten divorced and moved back home. Tony was working at Ed Kelly's where my niece Beverly worked, and one day I dropped in and we reconnected. Tony kept asking Beverly, "B, don't you know somebody I can date?" And Beverly said, "Well, my Aunt Judy's single." Bev called me and asked if she could give Tony my phone number, and I said, "Sure." I remember Tony from back in the day, and I had no intention of ever getting in a serious relationship again. So Tony called and asked me out, and I told him that I had a young son that I never went anywhere without. So if he wanted to take me out, he'd have to take both of us. He was fine with that. So on our first date, we went to the Cinema Pub on Country Club Road where you could watch a movie and eat dinner. We saw Hear No Evil, See No Evil. When we got back to my apartment, I figured he would drop us off and leave. But being the nice hostess that I am, I asked if he'd like to come in for dessert, and to my chagrin, he said yes. And I panicked because I had no dessert. So I quickly improvised bananas flambe. It apparently made quite an impression because from that point on, I could not get rid of it. At that time, Tony drove a sports car, a red Mitsubishi with black leather interior. Tony always loved his cars, washing them every week or two. One day he mentioned that he needed to wash his car, but he had to work. I offered to wash it for him and bring it back to him at Ed Kelly's. I don't know why he ever allowed me to drive that car, because I don't think he's ever let anyone drive one of his cars, but he did. Now, right after that, I got a phone call from Beverly, who said, hey, why don't we go shopping, hang out for a while? Sounded good to me, so off we went. As it got closer to the time Tony was to get off from work, I became worried because I still hadn't washed the car. Then I decided to run it through that car wash that was on the corner of Robin Hood Road and Peacehaven. Now, I didn't own a fancy car like Tony's. I had just a simple car. So as I sat in the car wash, I naturally turned up the radio so I could listen to the music while that car wash did its thing. Proud of how clean and shiny his car looked, I drove to Ed Kelly's and asked Tony, well, what do you think? He walked around the car, nodding his head. He said, well, the car looks good, but where's my antenna? Even that didn't keep him from loving me. But several years after we were married, we went to a nice restaurant. And Tony happened to glance at the dessert menu and said, look, bananas flambe. He pointed it out. He fixed that for me once. Why haven't you ever fixed it again? I didn't have to, I replied. Like all couples, Tony and I had our ups and downs, but we persevered for 28 years and renewed our vows on New Year's Eve, this past New Year's Eve. Living with him was an adventure. I never knew what he would do or say next. Having dementia was certainly difficult for him, but it did have its advantages. He could watch Blue Bloods all day long, every day, and never remember the episode. He loved watching the Golf Channel, and especially the Masters. The Monday after the Masters this year, I came through the living room and saw that he was watching a golf tournament, and I asked him what he was watching. He said, it's the Masters. This is the last day of the tournament. And I said, no, honey, today is Monday. The tournament was over yesterday. It was written up in today's journal. Thinking for just a moment, he said, well, don't tell me who won, because I want to watch it again. Tony was a funny man. He was a loyal Democrat. He was a Duke basketball fan who was kind to his UNC friends. He loved politics and Rachel Maddow. He loved horses and horse racing, playing golf and playing cards. He loved telling a good story, even if he had to embellish it a little. He loved chocolate. He hated broccoli. He loved his children and grandchildren. And for some reason, he loved me. During his last 2 days, several of us gathered around his bed and told Tony stories and filled his bedroom with laughter. I think he enjoyed it. I'm sure you have Tony stories too, and I hope you'll join us after the service in the fellowship hall, where we are having his favorite meal, fried chicken and all the things that go with it. And we are going to tell some Tony stories. But to end this, I want to read a poem that was written by my nephew, Scott Hooper. Where do our souls go when they lose their shell? Do they flutter in the breeze, butterflies of fluff, light as air? Do they return over and over to learn that one great lesson, to answer that one great question? Or are they visitors who sit behind the screen waiting to be served their tea, polite and civil as they view our world quite unseen? or are they the smoke dancing slowly up to